Hey everyone, in this video I'll be showing you how to play Strategist Deadpool in Marvel Rivals. The Merc with the Mouth here is a very complex healer. He is honestly one of the best ones out there, and what's silly as you can see here, you can get your ultimate just by bouncing on your teammates' heads if they've taken damage, and I do expect that to get nerfed eventually because it is quite powerful. But I'm going to be covering everything regarding his kit here, what upgrades to go with and when. I've also done a video on the Vanguard version of Deadpool if you want to check that out. Now, honestly, I think his number 3 bouncing bobblehead is the best one to use here. It's going to make him throw his icon from the corner, but whenever you upgrade it, it does it 3 times with a very short cooldown of 8 seconds. This is actually a really good option for healing, and it's sustained. The next option I'd recommend is the Dual Desert Eagles. This boosts up your healing by around 20%, which is actually quite massive, and this just means that you're going to be obviously providing more for your team. That's usually my second pick there now. I also like number 4. Now, the Katanas, they're an okay upgrade if you really like using them. I just don't feel it fits this setup for Deadpool that well as a healer. I actually think the healing Hijinks here is better because this gives you more charges on them, which means more mobility. The Deadpool in your area, it's between these two here because the Deadpool in your area gives you more heal in the area of effect, which I think is really nice as well. And I honestly think the final exam is the better of the two ultimates here, and I'll cover it in a bit more detail in a moment. Now for the Dual Desert Eagles here, when they're not upgraded, they're going to do 25 damage to enemies whenever you shoot at them, and if you shoot at your teammates, it's going to do 45 heals. Now whenever it's upgraded, it'll instead do 28 damage on enemies, and it'll do 50 healing, so just 5 extra points of healing on your team. But the big thing is every 5th shot, you're going to release this little thing of poop there, and it will heal your teammates. And the projectile itself heals for 15, and when it explodes, it leaves a spell field that's going to heal you for 40. So roughly around 55 extra heal every 5th shot. So yeah, it's roughly around a 20% increase your overall damage. These are obviously your main way of healing, but the hard part is the Katanas actually don't end up healing your teammates. You're going to attack, and you're going to see that they leave out this area of effect here, which this beam is going to end up healing your team. The only times where you want to pull out the Katanas typically is when you're getting dived, because this is just going to obviously make it a little bit easier for you to hit your targets. Just be mindful, it doesn't give you health, it's only going to give your teammates health. But the thing is, whenever you're getting dived, you can jump off their heads pretty easily and use your right clicks to get a bit extra mobility. So if you are getting dived, the Katanas are great for that. And before getting them upgraded, they do 30 points of damage each, and you slash around 3 times per second there. And the thing is, it doesn't do a large bit more damage when it's upgraded. It only does 35 damage there. And the thing is, the healing goes from 32 to 35. So not a large change to the overall healing. But again, you're going to be using your guns for the most part because this is your ranged heal. And obviously, strategist, it's important your positioning. So the only times you're going to be pulling out the Katanas is when you need this extra dash for some mobility. Or if you're getting died by like a Black Panther or something and you got other teammates here that are giving you support healing, you can actually go around. You typically want to be bouncing off and using mobility to stay alive. Don't overextend yourself if you're getting dived, but it's there for that. Now, as I mentioned, I like to upgrade the right click here often first because the burst healing from this is actually pretty insane. And when you upgrade it, you automatically throw it 3 times with that 3rd throw being an explosive version of it. And the healing actually improves from the first time you get it as well. Now, this is a tricky one, and it's kind of funny. He actually rips the icon from the bottom left corner of the screen that my big head is covering. But whenever you throw this out, it deals damage to the enemy. It does 25 damage on your first throw and 20 on the return. So that's about 55 damage if you hit both of those. But the heal, whenever you first throw, it does 45 heal on the first pass through. It does 30 on the return pass through, so that's 75 health right there. And if it stays in the target's healing range there, as you can see, I got it to hold itself in position there. It's going to do 50 heal per second in that zone. So you can actually get a lot of healing off with this. And the fact that you throw it 3 times means that it's a very solid one to throw off first. And it's good because you're going to throw this into like an area where your tanks are maybe brawling. It's going to be damaging the enemy, doing healing, and it's a very useful ability. And the craziest part is an 8-second cooldown. So that's why I like to upgrade this one first. Even though the healing gun does give you like a 20% extra increase your health, I do think it's better to get this off earlier. And if you're getting dived often, it's probably best to get the right click off as well on your Katanas. And you can chain them together, as you can see. So you can do that and then pull away with your Katanas if you need some mobility. And it's a pretty cool combination, but you want to be using this pretty much every 8 seconds because its healing is just so good, and that's a very short cooldown. So yeah, use it. And for Deadpool's E ability, the Deadpool in your area, this area of effect attack is actually pretty strong offensively, but it's a tricky one to use. Now, it's a lot better if you're playing as Tankpool because his can give him a huge 40% damage reduction, and it's going to make his gun fire really quickly. Here we get an area of effect heal, and it doesn't actually do a lot of damage. It's similar to Tankpool whenever you first have it and not upgrade it. It's going to do 10 damage per second to enemies, and it's going to heal your team for about 60 per second. Now, whenever you do have it upgraded, it then increases to 30 damage per second on enemies. It doesn't look like a whole lot, and it's not really a crazy amount, but you can pop this while you're chipping away at the katanas, and it's just a way to be able to take out an enemy quicker while also providing support for your team in an area of effect. I'm a big fan of Lucio in Overwatch, so it's nice to have some area of effect heals like this, and I think that this is a really good one. Now, this is a 12-second cooldown, so it's another ability that you can actually use quite frequently, kind of similar to a tank pool. He wants to use it often. This is one that you're going to want to have, especially if you need some extra heal for your team. You can literally like pop both these abilities, and then you're going to have a crazy amount of sustain for the heals. And the thing is, you can also throw the emblem here, the right-click on the ground, so you can heal your entire team. And you can get both of these, basically making your team immortal. And if you're firing at your tank, yeah, you're going to be providing a lot of heals. It's very bursty. Again, with an 8-second and 12-second cooldown, this means that you can fire it off pretty commonly. But it's something that you obviously want to be using as not more of an offensive tool and more of a keep your tanks alive tool, or maybe to push them into the right direction where there's more enemies. Another thing too is whenever the Deadpool in your area is active, it's going to blind enemies a little bit, like it's going to cover up their health bar and it's going to make it harder for them to see. They have to deal 100 damage to get this removed. It doesn't remove the effect from Deadpool. I've seen a lot of people talk about that online. It doesn't work that way. It only removes the distraction when they deal 100 damage. So he's just going to be making it hard for them to hit until that occurs. And as mentioned, the healing Hijinks is really nice because, again, this gives you some mobility, which Deadpool really needs. He doesn't have a whole lot of mobility. It's like the double jump, the right click. You got those two tools to get away from enemies, and just be mindful if you bounce off an enemy's head or your teammate's head, it's going to heal or damage them, but it also refreshes the cooldown on it. So this is something you obviously want to be pulling off, and you can kind of do a bit of a combo there where you bounce off a head, and then you can like right click, bounce off a head, right click. It gets into comboing itself. It's a little bit better with actual DPS pool, but yeah, you can do. I have the cooldowns turned off in the practice range, but yeah, you do want to use that healing Hijinks as more of a mobility option, less of an offensive tool. I mean, Deadpool tank form and DPS form, they're going to use it more as a DPS option, but for us, it's just some quick mobility. Deadpool's a really hard character to hit if you do it right, so yeah, you're not going to be using the katanas really as a healing form too much. It's more so anti-dive, and then using the healing Hijinks there to be able to move around. But I do want to mention that if you hit an enemy with your healing Hijinks, it does a 55 heal in an 8-meter range, so it's actually quite a large range. You can briefly see that green, and you can actually turn on a setting to be able to see that. There's a few settings in there for Deadpool in particular. If you go into your keyboard settings or your controller settings, you go under Deadpool here, you're going to see the Deadpool style descriptions. Turn that off. I also like to change the upgrade to another stick altogether. So typically the upgrade is on F here. I like to set it to like the little the tilde mark there, just because it's a little bit harder to hit, so that you don't accidentally be hitting this while you're fighting. You can also turn on the healing reticle feedback. This will make it a little bit easier for you to understand when you're actually healing your team. It's going to have that little green ping that goes around your aiming there. I don't normally like to have this on, but it can be nice because especially with this, with all the green. Deadpool's a very cluttered character with a lot of things happening on screen at once. So even another thing that may make it a little bit easier to tell if you're actually hitting your shots might be worth using. Now what's interesting is Deadpool's ultimate, the Pwnage Pound it's called whenever you're using it from his katana, or from his pistol here. This is interesting because whenever you use this, it does more damage to the enemy than it normally would. So you can judge an enemy here when they miss their shots. You can see there, it takes out their health really quickly. So whenever you use this on a hit scan character, like if you're going against a Punisher, this can be a really good one because every shot they take will end up taking them out, just like that. It's quite powerful. Now, whenever they miss an ability, it's going to do 60 damage, which is up from the 40 or so that the tank version gets. It also is going to give a 10 per second, or 100 heal per second over time to an area of effect. You can see that green area there, kind of similar to like a Lucio kind of ability. And the healing per ability miss is 90 whenever it's fully upgraded, so you can actually heal your team quite a bit with this. This is actually best used into a Punisher ult, or someone that's going to be doing quite a bit of damage and firing off often and missing their shots, because this is when it's most useful. Now, I do think that for Deadpool, like this ultimate, the final exam with his katanas, is a little bit better. Now, it's harder than Tankpool. Tankpool only has to get 5 of the abilities used, but what's funny is you can actually activate this and then use your right click, and this is going to give you that spinning attack there, which makes it a lot easier to get. So don't be afraid to do that, because it makes it a little bit easier. Whenever you get the upgrade, it gives a huge team heal to the team. This is best used whenever you're playing with a bunch of people brawling and everyone just kind of being chaotic. You can bounce off your teammates' heads to be able to get that upgrade. You can bounce off the enemy's heads. You just want to be landing your shots because whenever you get that, you see there the area of effect is larger now, and it plays the Avengers music, which is kind of funny. So yeah, you want to be doing your obviously your right click, bouncing off their heads, and then also switching out and throwing the healing item, which you can see does actually get you it very quickly, especially if you're hitting a lot of enemies at once. So don't be afraid to pull that out. It's a lot easier to get it that way. And then whenever you get this heal off, it's going to give an 80 per second heal over time to all your teammates when you activate it. And when you complete the challenge, it does 120 per second and gives a big burst. And it regenerates your passive, where you can get a bit of extra health when the enemy takes you down, 200 health really quickly. So just overall great survivability whenever you got that ult out. And again, you're just going to be using it bouncing off the enemy's heads, right click, pull your katanas and use your right click there, and everything there is going to get you this big overall really quickly. So yeah, this is my preferred ultimate to go with, and it's very strong. It's mandatory that you do this to your favorite tank at the start of each round. It's going to give them a motivation boost. Now for positioning, with Deadpool, it's obviously best to kind of stick back a bit. Again, you have your katanas there if you end up getting died by anyone, and you can also get into the fray of things here. Sometimes it's just easier to help clear off enemies if you're able to get in there and use your katanas to heal that area of effect, but you want to kind of be sneaky with that and save your double jumps and mobility to get away. And here's another Deadpool that was ulting in our backline. It was a healer one. Kind of funny because yeah, if you got someone that's diving, those katanas are just really nice. And you can see there, you can actually contribute to taking down Loki pretty quickly. Obviously your aim is dependent on that, but having the long range heal there is nice, and then katanas for the close range. So typically position yourself with the other strategists. Obviously you're there to help keep them alive as well, but you can take some off paths a little bit if you see that there's a distraction. You can see the Deadpool distraction was on my screen there, but this right click is just so good when you see your entire team and enemies grouped up there, because you can get your tanks healed up and damage the enemies consistently to push them out, because the sound hit markers actually makes the enemy kind of move from my experience here. Another thing is that if you see another Jeff on the enemy team, you are actually one of the best at taking them out, because the headshot damage, it got nerfed a bit recently, and on top of that, we have a really good hit scan. And the funny thing is, there's a Punisher coming to try and backline a dive here. This is where those katanas are just so nice, and then able to get my ultimate off to be able to continue keep bumping around, and was able to survive that while also healing the team. And unfortunately that there happened, but yeah, we got enough mobility that we can sometimes just get away from another hit scan character there. Used my ult and was able to get an extra kill off, but yeah, the sustain, if you got those hops, is really nice. And that's how you get yourself an MVP. And honestly, Deadpool really thrives when there's a lot of chaos here, because yeah, you can get in and get out of the fray pretty quickly when everyone's distracted and not going for you. That's the thing with Deadpool, sometimes they're going to assume you're the tank version, sometimes they're going to assume you're the DPS, especially if you're swapping between them, but you can get some pretty easy wins that way. Another time where using the katanas actually works well is if you're contesting a point there, because sometimes there's just a lot of chaos, and being able to chip through things like Doctor Strange there, who had his shield up, is nice, because we're providing heals for our team still while providing actually offensive power there. But don't overextend. That's one of the biggest problems that you gotta watch out for. Sometimes popping your ultimate early is really nice. That Venom was able to take themselves out, and the area of effect heals that we had means that we were actually easily able to capture this point. And positions like this are another area that we really like, because that right click is just so good right here, because again, you're throwing it 3 times. You can heal your team a lot by doing that, and then running in using your Deadpool in your area too if your team is nearby. And here's another example, a really good spot for that there, because yeah, that is so powerful. And especially if I got the ultimate off there and Deadpool was able to take themselves out while using the ultimate, I really like to pop this on enemy Deadpools, because they're going to be shooting their gun pretty often, and if they miss 3 of their shots, it's likely going to be taking them out. So that's why I was popping it there on the enemy's Deadpool, and it worked out in our favor. And sometimes just shooting your gun often is kind of nice, because if you're able to get that extra shot off there, you can see you're able to pick up a kill that way. And whenever you use the big test ultimate here, it's all about the mobility and just being extremely hard to hit. You can actually do quite a bit of healing in area of effect because you're doing the blades there. So that's nice that you're going to be able to actually provide support for the team, but you're also making it hard for the enemies to hit you with all the jumping and bouncing around. And that's how you can get yourself that charged up ultimate pretty quick. So that's the ultimate guide on how to play Strategist Deadpool. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. Hit the subscribe button below if you enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys all have an amazing day.